How's it going, everybody? This is Rob Novakast back with another video for you guys. And with this one, we'll be talking about episode 4 of Obi-Wan Kenobi from Disney+. I have to once again give a shout out to the creator known as White Bat Audio. I've been using a couple of their copyright-free music, and to an extent, the stuff that is displayed or able to listen to is really good. So go check it out. But going further, let's go ahead and talk about Obi-Wan Kenobi. And oh boy. So as much as I've liked the last couple of episodes, this one kind of dropped a little bit when it comes down to I guess story, as well as just overall some of the things that go in this that happen in this particular episode are kind of odd, and I'll explain. So after almost getting burned to death, Obi-Wan Kenobi is rescued and put into a healing tank, only to find out after he gets out that he has to save Leia again, but only this time not on a random city like planet. Oh no, he has to go to the Inquisitor base to rescue Leia. And it's kind of set up that this particular base, this place of the Inquisitors, has never been broken into, and apparently doesn't have that much in terms of, well, I mean, they have like an army, but to an extent when it comes down to security measures, there's apparently nothing. And they try to hand wave this off of okay, so what are why is I don't understand, why does this building have it doesn't have security? And one of the dumbest lines is, oh, because nobody would be that stupid to go in. Are you freaking kidding me? I saw that, I heard that line, and I just I'm done. That was dumb. That was so dumb. So above all, we have Reva that's trying to interrogate Leia on where what could possibly become the rebels, and trying to get information out of Leia. But unfortunately, Leia, being the tough little kid she is, basically tells Reva to piss off. And this kind of angers Reva, or the third sister, a little bit, because at this point she is dead center into finding Kenobi. Now, going further, and it also seems like with all of her progress, everything she's trying to do, she's kind of garnering favor from Vader. At least, again, that's what it seems. Though he's made it clear that if she fails, she's dead, or they are dead. And to an extent, she's doing her best to try to get information out of the kid. And going further, Tala and Obi-Wan Kenobi infiltrate the Inquisitor base. Now, another dumb thing that a couple dumb things with the Tala character. To an extent, she makes the reason she's going is, oh, I was working under the Empire, to help everyone. My clearance should still be good. And it's but wait a minute. I mean, that I can kind of see that, but at the same time, because especially when it comes down to an army, you have certain people stationed in certain areas, and there's usually records of that. So how is it that all of a sudden she's people are going to question that? But apparently they don't. Especially, and it's even made worse when she is stopped by the security checkpoint at the base when they get there. And they're all telling her, you're not stationed here. And she talks about how, oh, I got some information. If you're going to withhold me from giving this information to the Inquisitors, then you could speak with them. And the security guy's oh, well, never mind. I don't want to deal with that. I'm like looking at this like this is kind of dumb. This is kind of getting dumb. So she goes there. Now, part 2 of Tala stupidity. And I'm looking at this and I'm like, she should have been captured or killed. More likely shot when she first starts doing this. She gets into, I want to say the security area. And to an extent, she's talking to Obi-Wan on a comm device. Now here's the thing. As she's going through security, making it easier for Kenobi to access the lower levels of the base, she's all holding up this little communication device like right in front of her face as people are walking by. Like, yeah, go through that door. Do this, do that. Like, okay, no. Somebody like with the right mind would look at that, find it suspicious, and then proceed to shoot her. Especially with how freaking violent hungry the Empire was. That makes no sense. And it makes me kind of think that, wow, like not only are the freaking stormtroopers incompetent, but it seems like the officers are incompetent too. Now, there is a really creepy scene to an extent, and I think they were kind of really going for the creep factor on this. And also, I should point out too that with every episode they have had this this line of text or kind of warning where it talks about how there are certain scenes that will upset you. So far, I can kind of see why, but to an extent, it's either I have a whole thought process on when it comes down to content, but whatever. There's a point where Obi-Wan gets to like the lower levels of the base, and he finds out what they've been doing, especially to the people who are force sensitive, the Jedi, everyone. It basically, like, the lower portions are basically a tomb. Kenobi's words, not mine. In this giant, vast room, we see a multitude of people, what seems to be cased in like amber or some kind of see-through gemstone, or I don't know what it would be, but I actually would say resin or something. I don't know. It was yellow and not yellow, but orange in color. So to an extent, there he's going through this vast room, this mausoleum, I should say. I think that'd be the better word. And you're seeing all these people like kind of encased and on display. And I will admit, it's kind of a fucked up scene. But to a degree, it kind of explains what they were doing. And if anything, it kind of shows how it kind of shows part of what the Inquisitors do to try to break a person down to become an Inquisitor. Because, especially in, like, let's say the games The Fallen Order, they go into detail as to what happens to Force users to become Inquisitors. I mean, they can't become Sith because the law of the Sith, there's only 2. So, the lower ones become Inquisitors. And we see that. We see what happens. They get tortured to the point where eventually they break and become Inquisitors. And I think with the idea of this particular room, or what the idea was for this room, was maybe as part of that process, you see all the people who have tried to, fight back against the Empire. And what inevitably happens to them. Though, to be fair, unfortunately, we also see young children in there too. So, actually, if anything, it looks like a lot of the younglings from when Order 66. So there's a possibility that they've been doing this for 10 years, where a variety of different people, especially since, when the rise of the Empire began, all these people who died, or I wouldn't be surprised if they were still alive when this happened, all encased in this, this prison, so to speak. I don't know what's worse, either the resin prison, I'm gonna call it resin prison, or the carbonite. I don't know what's worse. But either way, I will say it's a creepy scene. I will admit that. I'll give the 1 point to this episode, and that scene was creepy. Eventually, Kenobi finds Leia and is able to rescue her. Tala eventually gets captured, but then rescued by Kenobi, and they escape, or at least they attempt to escape. In something that is kind of obvious, I kind of find it funny where you have Obi-Wan dressed up in a trench coat, and you have Leia kind of like under the trench coat, hiding, and like nobody bats an eye on this whole situation of these people escaping. Again, like anybody with the right mind would look at that and be like, the fuck? And proceed to shoot them. Oh my gosh. But eventually Reva does catch up, and luckily for them, they're saved by two speeders, or from the group that's been rescuing, families and force wielders. And they escape. Now we also get another great scene of Vader. Like no bullshit. Like no bullshit. Just freaking walks through the room and basically, tells, starts force choking Reva, going, "You were warned, now you gotta die." But she's able to convince him to not kill her, and it turns out that with everything that happened in between interrogating Leia, she put a tracker on this little droid that Leia has had. I haven't talked about the droid. The droid is called I can't remember the exact name, but it's an acronym for Lola. I think if anything, we'll just call it Lola, because that's what Kid Leia calls it. But to an extent, they put a tracker on the Lola bot, and sure enough, now they have a way to find the rest of the people who are trying to escape the Empire and so on. Again, this episode, there's a lot of things that make no sense with this episode, and then I will admit that there were a couple things in this episode that were, actually really good. The scene in the mausoleum, I'm instead of calling it a tomb, I'm calling it a mausoleum. The mausoleum is creepy, to say the least, and it kind of shows what the Empire or the Inquisitors are willing to do. And the very end with Vader, because again, any part with Vader is great. It really is. So I am looking forward to talking more about this, but for now, I'm gonna go ahead and end it here. Again, not the strongest episode thus far, or I mean, when it comes down to the rest, because the rest of them are done really well. This one, however, kind of, I don't know, it just didn't do it for me. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Truly appreciate it. If you guys can, please leave a like, comment, share, subscribe, all the good stuff. If you guys want to follow us on social media, links are in the description down below, as well as checking our daily content and the weekly podcast. With that being said, this is Rob Novakast signing off. Have a good one. Take care, and I'll see you guys in the next video.